Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. We are just about to get going. Okay. Let me just test out the chat real quick. Testing out the chat. Seeing if that works. And go ahead and give it a second. Okay. Let me just refresh this. Hopefully that works. There we go. All right. Looks like we are ready. Hello, everybody. And welcome back to another Scurrius pet hunting stream. I got myself some pizza. It's a nice rainy day. And we are just about to go ahead and get the pet. Like I said, we could get lucky on 777. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. Remember to touch the sparkly heart. Set up our music. And take down the Rat King. Very nice day for staying in and relaxing with some Scurrius pet hunt. I've already seen some people put out loot from 1,000 kills, different ways to train with this boss, so it seems like it's fairly popular to do at the moment. Don't think it'll stay that way forever, but I did a couple kills off stream, and I think in 2 kills I got all of the combat achievements from here, so combat achievements are very easy. It's just don't miss prayers and then kill all of the minions. So it's fairly easy. Could be the first combat achievements that people really get into, because they're just very simple. I think the only way you don't get them on a regular kill is just not having the prayer level for protect from melee. Other than that, they're very simple tasks. Ugh. Missed that because I was being lazy. But I think we can finish off the kill relatively quickly. Any one of these kills could be the pet. So how's everyone doing today? It is a nice rainy day where I'm at. Don't get too many of those. But when it does happen, it's very nice, because then the hills around where I live turn very nice green. Where most of the year they're just like brown with bunch of dried plants, and then anybody can start a wildfire by just rubbing a rock too vigorously, and then it makes a spark. Just any tiny little thing can start a wildfire around where I live. I'm gonna miss that prayer because I was moving around in my chair. That rhymed on accident, but, you know, we'll take the rhymes where we get them. Or more adamant arrows. Okay. Oh, why did I eat an angler? I really didn't need to do that. Well, let's keep ourselves tip-top health for as long as we can. Range. Mage. Mage. And the minions. The big controversy right now, not a controversy, but the big question right now is, should Echo Crystals go onto, the, what's it called? The, like, mid-tier shields, or onto the Guardian Boots? And I'm firmly in the camp that they deserve to be in the Guardian Boots, because if they go into those mid-tier offhand weapons, they're just going to be dead content. The dead on arrival content. But if they're on the Guardian Boots, they would actually have a proper place in the meta, because then you could actually have a realistic benefit for using Guardian Boots, because defensive stats aren't really the most important in this game. But if you have defensive stats and you have that, like, recoil effect, that could really make them more viable in a lot of places, I think. So I'm gonna go vote for putting them on the boots, but we'll see what happens. I thought he was going to the middle. I didn't know he was going to come melee me. There we go. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Save a little bit of prayer here. And keep on killing the boss. I hope I don't go super dry on this, because not even dry yet. We're only at 700 kills, but I hope it doesn't take too many more kills, because I do want to go do some other things in game besides killing a low-level boss. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Oh no! Okay, let's switch our prayer book. Or our spell book. I forgot I was on Arceus. Gotta be on standard for that high alchemy. And we can go ahead and just resupply at Varrock East Bank? Yeah, it's east. East and west are hard. Up and down are much easier. But I am excited for the God Alignment prayers that are looking like they are going to come out. Let's, give me a second. Okay. No. Just grab some more anglerfish. And get back down to the sewer. That's a very quick place to resupply. This boss is very conveniently located. I'm glad it's not so deep in the Varrock sewers like Bryofita is. Uh-oh, I think I went to the main world. I want to go to the private instance. "11 seconds. That's fine." Saturated heart wear off. And back to it. Minions coming out. Run, protect melee real quick, and back to the boss. Shoving his face full of cheese. Just like I'm doing with my pizzas. You know, you don't realize how hungry your character actually is until you look at the size of food items in this game. I mean, like, look how big an anglerfish is. You eat that in, like, 0.6 seconds. You inhale the anglerfish, and there's not even bones left. You just eat the whole thing. I was doing a little bit of AFK fishing last night while I was working on some things. I think that's going to be my plan for when I'm doing work for my classes, is to just have some AFK fishing or AFK mining going on in the background. I do want to get 90 woodcutting for redwoods, so I think I'm gonna do forestry until I get 90 woodcutting. But woodcutting is slow. I need to realize that a lot of the skills are gonna be slow to finish. I will feel good once I have all the Bibles done, because then I won't have to spend any more money to max. And then from there, it'll all just be pretty much pure profit. I mean, what am I at? 88 to 99 rune crafting is going to be huge for money. Hunter could be big for money. I'm not sure with the Hunter Guild coming out. Agility If the Sepulchre is still a thing after the rework for agility, then that could be some, not like great profit, but decent enough. Fishing, I don't know. I like to AFK Gromblons, and those sell for a decent amount. It's not too terrible. Just the sheer volume of fish that you get is going to be a good amount of money. Because I already have 99 cooking. That was one of the first buyables I went for because it's very quick. I think the next one I want to go for is 99 crafting, because I'm already pretty close. I only need 3 levels. No, 4 levels. I'm at 95 crafting, so I need 4 levels, and then I'll be done with that. And then I'll have the crafting cape, which is a very good cape to have. Already finished the prayer. Yeah, already finished prayer off as a buyable. So that's not going to cost me any more money. Alright, this is going to be kill 777. Lucky 7s. Let's get the pet. He's jumping all around. Ugh. Really just lay into this guy. Lost the imbued heart. We pray mage. Clicked it on right at the last second. And pet. Could it be lucky 7s? No. Nothing on 777. We'll see him next time. This is nice, pulling him all the way back to this side, because then it takes him a while to get to the cheese. Not too long, like, we get 1 extra hit in. Range. Range. It looks like Dragon Claws may be going to Tormented Demons. The problem with that is Tormented Demons were already sort of adapted into demonic gorillas for the Zenite shards, not Zerite, Zenite shards. And so I'm not sure what they're gonna do for Tormented Demons, if they're gonna be like sort of a mini boss, because if they're not really difficult to kill and require a lot of attention, then they are going to be botted, and then Dragon Claws will just dip in price super hard. They're gonna fall in price either way, depending on how popular it is to kill them. But still, I don't know. I feel like they should have their own reward. They should have their own thing, because if you take the Dragon Claws out of Chambers, then that's 1 fewer purple on the loot roll, and that makes everything... It shakes up the loot from Chambers of Xeric, and I'm sure that'll have a knock-on effect to the other items' value as well. Probably the value of the prayer scrolls more than anything, but still, I think there's going to be a big shakeup in the price of a lot of things if Tormented Demons drop Dragon Claws. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, prices change all the time. New content comes out, makes stuff relevant, makes stuff irrelevant. It's, we'll just have to wait and see. Give me the pet. Rune Square Shield. Crack in my neck. I don't even need Protect Melee on right now because he's so far away, but yeah, he does that a good couple of times before he even comes out and attacks you. Mage. Mage. Dodge. Melee. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I was like, you know what? If I became mayor of Alabama, I would change the name of Arlington to Titty Town. And then I remembered like 20 minutes later, Arlington is in Virginia, but I still stand by it. If I became the mayor of any state, I would just rename cities in other states and change the school textbooks so that all official government stuff refers to like Birmingham still as Birmingham, but like Washington DC would just be like Fartsville or something. And everyone who grew up or lived in my state, as soon as they traveled a little bit, they'd be like, wait, this place isn't called Grumblerville? It's very stupid, but made me chuckle a little bit. There we go. And eat from the food pile. And a rune chain body. That's not too bad. We'll see if we get lucky on kill 800. I was also doing a little bit of Corporeal Beast last night, just to see if I can get spooned. I will eventually get something if I just do like a couple kills every day. But Corp is something I kind of want to do off stream so I don't get crashed. I'd be alright if we did like a Corp mass, a mass world of just everyone running Corp. But I'd have to organize that a little bit better than just throwing on stream and getting the getting whoever just hopped in to go to Corporeal Beast. I'd want to have like an organized thing, like a day, maybe on the weekend, where we just all decide, you know what, let's go get ourselves a sigil. I do think the RuneScape economy is... Inflation is definitely a thing. With the amount of gold that comes into the game, there's not really too many gold sinks. I mean, the GE tax is something, and the GE tax takes out billions of gold every month just from all the trades that go through. But inflation is still a thing. The value of items kind of goes up. But at the same time, the methods to make money are also increasing at the same time. I just think it might be a little bit harder for newer players getting into PVM to find enough gold with budget gear. Because you can, I mean, you can make plenty of money with really crappy gear, but you have to know what you're doing, right? And I know that gear isn't everything, but having decent, like, mid-level gear can make learning things a lot easier. That's why I would recommend Slayer as one of the big skills to go for first. Because if you're doing Slayer, you're going to learn a lot of mechanics, you're going to learn a lot of gear progression and what works good where. And so it'll just become kind of second nature as to what you should bring to certain areas and certain content. But at the same time, I'm a wiki boy. Whenever a new boss drops, I'm like going to the wiki, looking through it, trying to figure out exactly what would work the best, what I should be wearing. But at a certain point, you can just be like, oh, this thing's weak to mage? Okay, I'll just bring my mage gear. Luckily, Scurrius is weak to everything. Mage. Missed that one, but that's okay. Any one of these kills now, we could get the pet. I saw somebody got the pet at like 12 KC, so you never know when it could happen. Unfortunately, this boss isn't as AFK as Sarachnis. I got super spooned at Sarachnis. It was like 113 kills for Sarachnis' pet. And I was barely there. I think the video that I made for it is like 3 minutes long because I got it like immediately after buying all the stuff to do at AFK. I like spent 70 million gold on like Justiciar, Din's Bulwark, all the gear you would need, the Blood Fury. I just spent all that money for it to drop in like 10 KC after I farmed, or I bought all the stuff for it, and then I went and farmed it for like 10 kills and got it right away. A little bit disappointing that I didn't get to use the gear that I had. Use your imbued heart, don't forget that. But at the same time, I was glad to get it quickly so I could just be done with it. That's kind of the goal. Sometimes my internet gets a little bit rough during rain. During rain or very strong winds, my internet... Oh, come on. There we go. Yeah, during rain or very strong winds, my internet can get very unreliable. Eat the trout. I alk the body. Grab another trout. And we are out of trout. Mage. Mage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 range. And melee, because he's coming in for a tail whip. He has to get dizzy from doing that all day long, just spinning around and whacking people with the tail. Mage. Mage. Range. Nothing. Well, a ranging potion, but I'm not going to pick those up. Dodge and attack. Mage. Mage. Melee. It's a good way to refill on... You can't refill prayer here, but you can use the cheese piles to get your health back. So, I usually bank before I ever have to, before I even run out of prayer pots. Pet? No. I'm just waiting for that little guy to pop up behind me. I will be very excited when that happens. Magic? Who taught that rat how to do magic? That's the question I want an answer to. I'm glad they didn't lock this boss behind something like rat catchers, because that would have been awful. There's no reason to do that quest unless you're getting a quest cape anyway. If they added a requirement of rat catchers to kill this thing, that would be even worse. Pet? No, prayer potion. That's nice. I guess that is the way to refuel on prayer pots, is just wait for one to drop. Just keep on whacking them. Melee, because he's coming in for a swing. Can I pick up the Chaos Runes, please? Thank you. Could we get lucky on 790? Could be. You never know. But maybe I need to find a more stable world. I don't think it's too big of an issue, because even if you miss prayers here like I did just then, you don't take too much damage. It's dodging the rocks That's really important because those things hit 20s and above. Mage. Dodge, mage. Nope, range. Mage. Why do you always have to summon minions? Can't you just face me head on? Like the king rat you are? Not lucky on 790, maybe on 800. God alignment prayers look like they might be fun. Hopefully they pass the poll and we actually get some useful ones. I think themed prayers would be nice. Like Gothics could be I would be interested to see Gothixian prayers being like buffs to your team or buffs to I know they're probably gonna add like skilling prayers as well. You hear that? I should have muted my microphone, but whatever. Don't judge me. I'm alone in my room. I can do what I want. Ranged and mage. I think skilling prayers could be an interesting concept. Like a chance at double gathering, because they've done that with a couple of things. Like the fish flakes from Temperos. That give you double loot chance at fishing. Same thing with the Rada's Blessing, you get a double loot chance while fishing. That's one thing that surprised me about the Rada's Blessing 4, is it actually does... You can put it into a tackle box. Because it gives you that fishing buff, it's technically a fishing item. So you're allowed to put it into the tackle box if you want to. I wouldn't mind seeing more things like that, like maybe a farming kit where you can store, not seeds, but like your secutors. You could store a rake, a spade, a seed dibber. I think it would also be good for like Ultimate Iron Man, just to have like a stash. I mean, I'm being stupid. They already have that. It's called the Tool Leprechaun. What am I talking about? But, you know, just stuff that saves on bank space a little bit. I think that would be a pretty safe reward, because it adds quality of life without like replacing anything or buffing XP rates. I think that could be an interesting reward for stuff. Yeah, got a shark. Hmm. 10 seconds on the big guy. And he jump. And he hit. Mage. Range. Why did I say mage there? I didn't pray mage. Now I do. And the minions, come on out. Missed that prayer, but my mage level's so high it barely even hits me. And more minions. I feel like we're gonna get 3 sets of minions on this kill. Go ahead, summon more minions. I know you want to. Maybe not. There we go. 793 for another ranging pot. Smack that. Smack that. And turn on melee. Mage. Mage. Melee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mage. Come on, come on, hit me. Range. Dodge. Range. Range. Hit the heart. Mage. And minions right at the last second. We could take that lobster. And back to it. Oy. I was talking a little bit. There was a stream I did that I deleted the VOD of it because it was just like 20 minutes of me rambling. But I talked about GTA 6 coming out. I think I'll play that when it comes out on PC, but the bad part is it's not going to come out on PC for a while. Because Rockstar is not a fan of releasing things straight away to PC. Their reasoning being that PC gamers are cheap bastards who wait for Steam sales to get anything. Which is true, I'm not going to deny it. I wait for Steam sales to get anything I want. Like, all of the Resident Evil remakes I got on the Steam sale. I really enjoyed Resident Evil remakes. My favorite is still the first one. The other remakes are kind of, they're fairly true to form, but they're not the same experience as the first one, and I feel like the first Resident Evil remake that came out, I think it was for the GameCube that they remade it for. Resident Evil 1, they kept pretty much everything the same. They updated the graphics, and I think they've made a few like quality of life changes. But that one was probably the closest to the original design of the games, because they kept the fixed camera angles, they kept the having to get typewriter ink to save. It was a lot different than games I had played, but it worked. It was very fun to play through that. Unlike the Resident Evil, I recently finished Resident Evil 4 Remake, and that's much more of an over-the-shoulder kind of action-y game. And I know that, like, even when it came out originally, it was, like, more of the action. That was when they started transitioning from, like, horror to action-style gameplay. Which I feel like that's not unique to Resident Evil. I remember the Dead Space trilogy. The first Dead Space was definitely, like, hard horror. It is leaning very hard into the horror department. Whereas, Dead Space 2 and 3 were much more like action shooters rather than horror. They still had the same, like, horror aesthetic, but it was much more of an action game. Trying to think of any other games that sort of made that jump from horror to action RPG. Not an ARPG, because they're not like I play a lot of Path of Exile, and Path of Exile is really fun. I'm excited for Path of Exile 2. That's gonna be having I think a open beta sometime this year. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm interested to try and bust that game wide open, because that's what people do with Path of Exile right now, is they just find the most optimal builds and just min-max to crazy extents. But I like to play solo self-found when I play Path of Exile, which I think the best comparison for solo self-found is, it's like Iron Man mode, but for an ARPG, which I really enjoy, because with Path of Exile, you're not grinding out like resources, you're not woodcutting or farming. You don't have to go through all the tedium of like making potions and all of that. It's much more action-oriented, but the loot that you find is much more valuable, because pretty much all the loot in Path of Exile is completely randomized. If it's a normal item, it has no modifiers to it, just has its base stats. If it's a magic item, it has 6 or 2 modifiers, potentially up to 2 modifiers. I shouldn't say 2, because you could have magic items with 1 modifier. You could even have upgraded items with 0 modifiers, which is very fun. But then there's rare items which have up to 6 modifiers, and finally unique items which have sort of preset modifiers that are still randomized. They have like a range of randomization for the actual stats of the item, but they have the same stats depending on what the unique item is. So I enjoy finding your own, like making a build, a character that can do a lot of just like general content, and then when you get lucky with a rare drop, you can sort of re-roll or make a new character using the really good item that you found. And also because trading in that game is kind of annoying. You have to like post it onto a website and then wait for someone to PM you in game, and then you have to move to their hideout and then trade them. It's a bit of a hassle. I think it just gets in the way of the gameplay. You have to stop what you're doing in game to just sell items. It's not the most fun. Eat from the rat food pile. Smack the big rat. I'd be willing to stream some Path of Exile if people are interested. It's very fun. I think I'm gonna wait for the next new league to come out, because that's what Path of Exile does. Is they do temporary game modes where there's like a modifier to all the maps, and then you interact with the content from the new mechanic, and a lot of the older like league mechanics stick around. Some of them don't, but a lot of them get moved into the core game. And you get to keep your character. That's the big part about it, is you get to keep your character. It goes to a standard game mode when the next new league comes out. Which is interesting, because then you have like a repository, a little history of all the characters you've played. Well, we didn't get lucky on 800. Maybe 801, you never know. And the thing about Path of Exile unique items is sometimes they're farmable. They have these items called divination cards, and if you get a whole, they're like fragments of an item. So if you get like 6 of the same divination card, you can trade it in for an item. So sometimes you can farm out an item that you really want if it's solo game mode, but for the most part, you just sort of have to get lucky and run enough maps to where maps are what they like, the in-game dungeons, in-game repeatable dungeons. So if you run enough of those, you might get lucky and find the unique that you're looking for. But I prefer builds with I prefer builds where you just have rare items and you can make them yourself, because there's some very strong crafting mechanics in that game. And that's something that I really enjoy about Path of Exile, is all the interesting things you can do to make an item rather than just buy it from somebody. So I could stream a little bit of Path of Exile. Maybe next time a new league comes out, I usually play the league for a week or two, see how fun the new mechanic is. I never really got to like the super end game of it. I've like dabbled in the end game of Path of Exile, but never like so much that I grind out, like, end-game gear. I usually have pretty mid-game gear by the time I end up quitting and playing something else, usually just going back to RuneScape. Because Path of Exile, if you're playing solo and you're playing sort of like Iron Man mode, the stuff is, like, very, very rare. You need to run, like, the in-game dungeon 100 times to get a chance at a randomly rolled in-game item. And I'm not really into that kind of a grind. I just like finding a build, putting together some really good gear. Yeah, it's fun to do, but not all the time. And the minions come out. And mage. And another mage. And do we get lucky? An 803. Give me the rat. No. I'm gonna have to get a little bit more water here. And I might take a break to eat some pizza. I don't want to be chewing into the microphone. Schmeck. Schmeck. Mage. The thing is, I want to get my max cape before sailing comes out, because I'm going to be a fire cape Andy when I try my inferno runs. I want to use the max cape for the inferno because there's just so many benefits to having a max cape as a going for inferno runs. You get the prayer cape, the stamina cape, the ranging cape, the hit points cape, the prayer cape. I already said that, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. But there's just so much utility from a max cape in an inferno run. And I want every advantage I can get. 3 minutes. Let's take the trout. Take the trout. And spell fling onto the evil Rat King. I got dragged under one of the falling rocks, unfortunately. I should be fine to camp low HP for a little bit. Only problem I think I'll run into is if I get another big lag spike. Because that's happened a few times this stream, where I kind of lose a little bit of, lose a few ticks, freeze for a second or so. Use the imbued heart. Range. Range. Mage. Jump. Mage. And attack the giant rat as well. For Rune Med Helm. 2 minutes on the cheese pile. High elk that. Pray melee and attack the big rat. What other games could I put together? I am really excited for Path of Exile 2, because it seems like it's a very different, similar enough to where it'll feel intuitive, but different enough to where you're going to have to rethink how you put together builds. The big thing, I think the emphasis that they're going for with Path of Exile 2 is having, like, actually using weapon swaps Because in Path of Exile 1, you're able to switch your weapon back and forth with something in like a second slot, but no one really uses that too much. There's some like niche builds where you can really take advantage of switching weapons, but for the most part, people don't use that. And even if they are weapon switching, it's like to a weapon that's like one for clearing the map that you're running, and then one for like killing a boss. So I think the big thing they're focusing on for Path of Exile 2 is making it more practical to switch back and forth between weapons, and making that more of a core feature rather than a niche thing. And also getting the player to use more abilities, because in Path of Exile 1, you min-max a single attack skill. You have like a bunch of secondary skills and buffs and auras and things like that, but for the most part, you're relying on a single attack skill to do all of your damage, which it's not like terrible, because I really enjoy that sort of simple one-button gameplay where you're just sort of speeding through the whole map and you're just clicking one button and everything dies. That's a very fun way to like speed through a bunch of huge enemies. But I think having a variety of attack skills that are more situational would be interesting in a different kind of playstyle. I'd be alright with doing that. But it's... We'll just have to wait and see. They're also adding a lot more classes, a lot more like hybrid classes, rather than just, there are 7 classes, I think, in Path of Exile 1. And each one is either a pure, like, dexterity, intelligence, and strength. It's either pure or a mix of 2. And then there's a 7th one, which is like a hybrid of all 3. So I'm interested to see what kind of changes are going to happen with that, and I really want to play Path of Exile 2 when that comes out. Hopefully I get access to the beta. I think it's going to be an open beta. They're going to have an open beta. I'm sure they will. But until that comes out, I'm just going to be waiting for it and running some RuneScape stuff. Don't summon any minions, please. You just had to, didn't you? Trout, eat the trout. Trout, eat the trout. Trout, eat the trout. Sip the prayer potions. And get ready once again. Imbued heart went down, and back to it. I think after this kill I'm gonna get some water, and then I'll send it to an AFK for a second, and then I'll get some water, and then we'll get back into killing the Rat King. Unless this is the pet here, and then I'll be done, and that would be great. But I doubt that this is going to be the one where I get the pet. It always could be, you never know. You never know. You don't know until you do. Mage. Range. Dodge. Minions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And pray mage. I hit you, didn't I? Guess not. Maybe I was a little too quick with the clicks. Okay, give me the pet, and I'll leave you alone. That's the bargain we have, Scurrius. As soon as you give me the pet, I will leave you alone. Alright. Give me just like, I don't know, a few minutes. I will be right back. Okay. I am back. Grimbledorf will have his day in the sun. Let's throw a GL, y'all. Private instance. And let's get this pet. Good. 30 seconds on the imbued heart. And we are almost ready to get the pet. Any single one could be it. Why do you have to summon minions all the time? Great range, hit the heart, Prey Mage. Adamant Plate Body. Nothing on 810. Uh-oh, what did I do? What did I do? I was messing around in OBS. I think I might have messed something up. Not sure quite what it could be. Maybe I just moved the alert box a little bit, but that would be fine. It's not a big deal. Prey range. Prey mage. And the minions come out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Dodge. Dodge. Adamant arrows, of course. I think I'm going to leave it here for today. I honestly want to just go do some raids. I will come back and get this pet eventually, but for now, I think I'm going to leave it. So thanks everyone who stopped by. Let me know if I should be doing anything differently, like getting a T-bow. This guy coming to Scurrius with a T-bow, man. What the hell?